everyone, it's Catherine with Mom Talk Educate, and I just want to welcome you to my very raw, unedited, cozy in my jammies at my studio, recording really awesome episodes of real talk for newborn photographers and their businesses. So if you want to join us live, make sure to hop into Mom Talk Educate Passion for Posing on Facebook. We have an amazing community there where you can actually join me every week for Transformation Tuesdays. But on the replay for YouTube, we're just going to be calling it Real Talk, and this is episode 1, and I am so excited to have you. I really have been procrastinating doing these because I just never have the time to get all dolled up. So I decided, you know what, you guys know me for being real, and this is me, right? If I'm not working, doing a newborn session, I am probably in my pajamas and I do not have my hair done or makeup done. Okay, so let's just be honest. Who has time for that? Let's get to business. And what we're going to talk about today is how to survive in this economy. So what we're going to be doing every week is we're going to have a Transformation Tuesday. So everyone who is a photographer or a newborn photographer or anything related to the industry, perhaps you are having a hard time surviving in this economy, and I am going to talk about how I can help you have a different perspective and how we can problem solve your situation and just make you more productive and have a more successful business. Hi, Ashley. Hi, Julie. Welcome. Just before we get started, let me know a little bit about you. I'll just tell you a little bit about me first, but if you can tell me where you're from, how long you've been doing photography, and if you are a professional photographer running a business or if you're just a hobby photographer. So I'll just tell you a little bit about me. I am a professional photographer and coach. I've been doing newborn photography, specializing in posed studio newborn photography for 13 years. Going on 14. I started after my second new baby was born, and I got my first DSLR camera, and I started taking courses and workshops, and basically it just snowballed from there. And I have been coaching other photographers since 2020. So very excited to get this group hopping again and really help everyone that I can pinpoint things that you can fix in your business, or that maybe you can set a goal for your business and work towards. Hi, Lindsay. Okay, so I want to know how long you've been doing photography, where you're shooting from. Do you shoot from your house? Are you a mobile photographer? Do you have a studio? I currently have a studio that I have been in this building for 7 years, but in this studio space for 2.5. It's giving you a full rundown. If you guys have had a slow year, pop in a little emoji below because I want to know what you guys have been going through and what your struggles have been. So I'm just going to give you a little bit of insight onto my situation. So I'm in Canada, and as we know, Canadians are cheaper than Americans. I feel like Canadians definitely are less impulsive when it comes to spending and buying, especially on luxury services, or not necessarily luxury services, but purchasing things that maybe aren't necessarily like a priority purchase, you know what I mean? Whereas I feel like Americans that I've noticed definitely tend to impulse buy a lot more, and Canadians definitely do not. So I used to be a shoot and burn photographer. I was a shoot and burn photographer from the years of 2012 until 2019. In 2020, I decided to learn how to do IPS, and I transferred over from shoot and burn to IPS. Now, when I say shoot and burn, I still had collections, I still had packages. I think my top package was $1,000, and I felt like I was at the maximum amount of money that I could be charging at the time because I felt like nobody would spend more than that. And it actually took me having to change my mindset and realize that if there's other photographers that can charge thousands of dollars for the exact same thing I'm doing, then why can't I? So I took that pricing workshop on how to learn in-person sales, and I took the strategies that I had been taught and I made them my own. So essentially, I didn't want to try and force $10,000 sales. I was just happy to make a $2,000 sale. I wasn't trying to make my costs really low and then upcharge the snot out of my products to my clients, because I know a lot of IPS teachers and educators, they try to basically spend the least amount of money on the products they're selling and then talk them up and try and charge like an astronomical number for them. So what I mean by that is I purchase the most premium products that I can, and that's how I value them. I value them as the most premium products a photographer can purchase, and then I scale my pricing from that and charge 5 times what they cost me. I'm not going to get into IPS like a lot, but I just want you to understand that it really all boils down to your foundation in your business. So before I get into the foundation of my business, I am just going to read through the comments. So Ashley said, I have been doing this for 5 years. I have a studio and I'm definitely on the struggle bus. I'm not a Swiftie, but since her engagement photos were posted and the dress she wore sold out and it was $300, people are not broke. It was a basic dress. Thank you. That is so true. People are spending if they value what they're spending on. Hi, Debbie. Hi, Tiffany. Okay, so Tiffany said, sorry, late again, made it though. That's okay. I'm happy to have you. Tiffany, I had asked everyone to share where they are from, how long they've been doing newborn photography, if they're a hobby photographer or if they run it full-time professional studio, if they're a mobile photographer, if they do it out of their house. And just to know if you have any struggles. Lindsay says, started as a hobbyist, created a business in 2020. I have an in-home studio, but significantly downsized after moving back home to Idaho after establishing my business in Colorado. Trying to rebuild, adjust pricing, it's been hard. Yeah, I have so many students that I have coached that have had to move across the country or have had to move states, and they have to completely restart their entire network and business. And that, I have so much empathy for you because I actually don't know how I would handle that. So I really give you guys a lot of credit for everybody that's had to do that. Hey, Marissa, Houston, 5 years and a studio. This is awesome. This is quite the little group that is on here right now. So there's definitely a lot of experience. How many of you have had trouble with getting your bookings going? So I'll just give you a little bit of insight onto the local situation. So for me, I do get a lot of inquiries, but mainly through Instagram right now. And normally my normal inquiries are like very even. So normally I get a lot of referrals, a lot of Instagram, and a lot of from my website. I would say a huge amount from my website, and like definitely, yeah, it's all fairly even. But this year, for the first year ever, I would say my website, and I'm still on page 1, so it's not like an SEO problem. I'm still on page 1. I have gotten a fraction of what I normally get. So I normally was getting like 5 to 10 inquiries a day on my website, and now I'm getting like 3 inquiries on my website a month. That's the difference. Like, it is insane. Like, people are just not booking. However, I do get several bookings through Instagram and referrals still. So I feel like referrals have been huge for me to stay consistently busy. Repeat clients have definitely got me through this year. I would say 80% of my clients are repeat clients right now. I just want to explain the reason why I was able to survive this economy without freaking out is because I had switched to IPS. So I'm not trying to pressure anybody, but if you really want to understand how to survive without having to lower your prices and worry about your competition, is to really take into consideration, are you charging enough to survive in a situation like this? So I have repeat clients. I do have some new clients that have booked in through Instagram or through my website, but mostly I would say 80% are repeat clients. And all of them are repeat clients since I've been in IPS. and or their family photography clients that come in to me every year. And again, they are already adjusted to my IPS prices. And with them, they're already used to spending thousands of dollars with me. So let's just say that you're like, I was just talking to another student just earlier this morning about how her pricing is around like $500-$600 a session. And she's afraid that if she ups her prices, nobody will book in with her. And the thing is, if you are normally used to booking 10 clients a month or more than that, and you're used to bringing in $5,000 a month minimum from those $500 sessions, which I would book around before I went IPS, I would do around 12 sessions a month. And I would say a lot of them were around like $800 collections. So I was used to working a lot and pumping out those galleries. But then when I went to IPS, now my average sale is around, would say between $2,000 and $2,600 per client. But now I have to survive is like 4 clients a month. And so the difference is that, yes, I am not swamped, but I'm not hurting. I'm not going to go belly up from this. I am fine. And the reason why is because I set myself up for sustainability. So because I'm still able to bring in clients and they're $2,500, $3,000 clients, I'm not stressed that I'm not going to be able to make my studio rent or pay my bills or go on vacation. Yeah, like my belt is a little bit tighter because I'm not working as much as I was working before. I am not to the point that I have to lower my prices to get in more business, or that I have to get rid of my studio, or that I have to get a side job or like a full-time job and do this on the side, because I was able to lay the foundations for my business to be sustainable. And I think the problem with so many photographers is that they're so stuck on more. But you have to understand, if your business isn't scalable, you're going to either have to quit or burn out. And for instance, let's just say that like you're charging $500 a session, maybe $600 a session, and you need 10 clients a month just to survive after all the business deductions and all payroll, like to pay yourself, and your taxes is like 30-40% depending on where you live. There's so much to take into consideration. If you can't even book like 4 clients a month at that rate, you need to be able to scale your business. You can't even afford to scale it at that point. You're going to have to get another job. So at this point, you have to understand, okay, what changes can I make so that I can be sustainable? And I know that a lot of people have a really hard time with the idea of in-person sales, but let me just explain. It's not as scary as it sounds. And whether you do it or not, that's entirely up to you. There's so many ways to do it. You don't have to do it in person. You could technically do it on Zoom. If you don't want to have any type of in-person interaction, then you could do it with, there's a specific type of gallery in PicTime that you can set up so that it's called the Simple Sales System. And they actually only have a certain number of hours that you set it to where they can watch their slideshow and pick their pictures. So you could actually set it to 2 hours. And once they click the link, they have 2 hours to pick their pictures. And that in a way can be like in-person sales. But the reason why in-person sales is so much better than doing everything online through a proofing gallery, whether you're doing it on Zoom or at their home or at your studio, the reason why it's so much better is because not only do you have that interaction with each other, you get to see their emotions, but you actually get to see their reaction to pictures, and maybe they might cut a picture because they don't understand that you can fix something on them in Photoshop. And so then they cut that picture because they're like, I don't like the way my stomach is pushing out. You just had a baby. Usually the stomach isn't showing, but maybe a part of it might show in one picture. You can say, oh, don't worry about that. I just cropped that off. Or don't worry about that. It's a 2-second fix in Photoshop. I just liquefy it. Or maybe they don't like their double chin. I had to tell clients, oh, if that's what you're concerned about, don't worry about that. That's not a problem. I can tuck that in, no problem. One mom was like, oh, Like, I have a little bit of thinning hair right here, like that really bothers me. Don't worry about it. I can add some with AI, with Photoshop, right? So, like, you can tell them, or maybe her bra strap is showing because maybe the way she's moving around or whatever. Oh, I just don't like the way my bra strap is showing in that. Honestly, it's your job to make sure that bra strap doesn't pop out. But if it does, it's not at the end of the world. If it's a beautiful picture and that's all that needs to be fixed, you can tell them right there and then, oh, don't worry about that. I can remove that. Not a problem. Like that, you're never even going to know it was there. So you're able to explain to them while you're doing their image reveal that none of these images are fully retouched. If there is anything that you feel like you would love about that picture, but there's just something holding you back from purchasing it, just let me know what it is and I'll let you know if I can fix it. And chances are I can fix it. And so I have been able to upsell so many galleries because I'm able to explain to them that is not even a stressor. So your hair is a little bit flat on that side. Guess what? I can add volume. That's not a problem at all. You know what I mean? Or oh, my lip color isn't as bright as it was when I got to the studio. I forgot to reapply it or something like that. Or can you add a little bit of blush to my cheeks? I just don't love how my skin is. I just feel like I'm a little bit washed out. Don't worry about it. Like, I can fix everything. So obviously your goal is to have almost a perfect picture, but at the end of the day, if clients have anything that is like a bother to them or they are insecure about, then you can just tell them before you even go through those images, just letting you know that if there's anything that you are uncomfortable with of yourself, just let me know and I can let you know if I can fix it for you, because none of these are fully retouched. So I want you to be confident. And then you can even have a sample edit image and just say, this is what it looks like after, and this is what it looked like before. So you see the difference. And then they're like, oh my God, that's amazing. I'm going to look like a supermodel. And you're like, yeah, you're going to be so proud of these images. And 9 times out of 10, I'm not getting people that are super insecure. Most of them are like, oh my God, this is amazing. But there's always like that one client that is super insecure. And maybe they're going to have a lot more requests about their raw images to be specifically edited in a certain way. But the reason why in-person sales is not only just for that reason is that they have urgency. So the urgency is there. They are afraid that they're not going to choose the right ones, so they buy more. Or they're afraid to let go. And because you, with an in-person sale, is you're able to start it with a slideshow. And with a slideshow, they're able to start that emotional, because the music and their baby, and it's the first time they've seen their pictures, all of a sudden they're just melting. And a lot of times, I would say 80% of the time, the moms are crying from watching their pictures. So they're already like totally invested in these pictures. The last thing they're going to want to do is let go. So another thing too is that with proofing galleries, it's a lot easier to show, like when you're just sending a proofing gallery to a client, it's a lot easier to show a lot of very similar images. But with an image ordering appointment, you're going to be a little bit more determined to make sure that each picture is unique. I don't want to have 5 pictures of the baby in the basket where the image is slightly different by like literally hardly anything, and the parents can't even tell the difference. When I'm going through one image at a time with these families, I want each picture to look different. So I'm going to make sure that each picture is the best one out of that series and the best angle. So yes, my image ordering appointments, I am actually showing them a gallery of like between 50 and 100 pictures, but I also do 5 fabric poses. I do 4 or 5 prop poses, and then I do 2 to 3 variations per parent, and then I do 2 to 3 variations of family. So I am getting a massive gallery, and so it's very easy for me to provide a proofing gallery of 60 to 90 unique portraits. The reason why I've been able to be sustainable is because I have created a workflow and a strategy with my business to make sure that clients feel totally taken care of. We do a consultation when they inquire with me. So rather than going through everything over Instagram or email, I give them my base prices, because that's usually one of the first questions. I give them my base prices. If they say anything, then I say, let's book a consultation. Would you like it to be on Zoom or would you like it to be at the studio? And then I try very hard to get them into the studio, because once they get into the studio, they realize, okay, this is a legit business. But if you don't have a studio, don't worry about that part. You can go to their home and do a consultation and really make an impact. You can find out, see what their nursery looks like, see what their walls in their home look like. If they have a really massive home and they have lots of empty walls, you could bring some sample ideas of different gallery layouts of framed wall art. Or can you imagine what like 3 framed wall art portraits that are like 20 by 30 would look amazing in your nursery above the crib? Like all these different ideas you can offer them by being at their home doing an in-home consultation. So you don't have to have a studio to do it. So if you don't have a studio, don't feel discouraged, because there's always ways around it. Another thing I wanted to recommend too is that if you don't have a studio and you want to do the image reveal, again, if you don't want to meet them in person, do it on Zoom. I've done every ordering appointment on Zoom, every single one, minus 2 because they forgot it was on Zoom and I had to rush to the studio and meet them. So if you are afraid, oh, I don't want to take up the time to put into in-person sales, let me ask you a question. How do you have time to do 10 to 15 sessions a month at $500 a client when you could do 5 clients at $3,000 a client? Of course you have time to do a consultation, because most of the people aren't going to book with you if they, like most people aren't going to request a consultation if they don't plan on booking. And don't be afraid about the price point of things, because if somebody really values what you offer, they are going to save the money for it. You know what I mean? I have a client who literally asked, she booked me when she was 4 weeks pregnant. I've never worked with her before. In this economy, she booked me with her second child. And let me tell you some insight. She had wanted to book with me the first time, but she didn't because I was too expensive, okay? Her oldest is 2 years old. He's going to be 2.5 when the baby's born. Actually, she's due tomorrow. She's getting a C-section. She contacted me at 4 weeks pregnant. She tells me that she wants to book in with me. And I'm like, let's do a studio consultation. She shows up, no makeup, in sweats. Her husband literally looks like he climbed out of bed. Their toddler, it looks like he's wearing his pajamas. Like, they're not a luxury set of clients. I was actually shocked when they pulled up. I was like, oh, she knows my base prices and she schedules a consultation. I was actually very impressed that she even set up the consultation with me. So she comes in, she tells me, I've been following you for years. I've loved your work. I didn't end up booking with you the first time because you are expensive. And I chose to book with another photographer in the area, but she still cost $1,000. Like, the photographer they booked was still expensive, but I'm double, right? I was like, I'm an average of $2,000 to $3,000 for a newborn session. And so I'm like, oh, she's like, you know what? She's like, her entire, everything is boho. Everything is boho. And it's not me. I'm not a boho person. And don't get me wrong, I love boho. I think boho is beautiful, but I also think boho is, it's something that's going to fade out, right? Like, it's one of those trendy looks that people get sick of. Anyways, she shows me her gallery and I like maybe 10 pictures out of 80. I bought her top package. I got all of the gallery. I like maybe 10 pictures. Plus everything's boho, and I'm not a boho person. I don't know what I was thinking. She still spent $1,000 on that photographer. And don't get me wrong, the pictures are pretty, but you can tell that photographer doesn't focus on making sure that every detail is perfect, because a lot of the pictures you only see the back of the baby's head. And that's something I've learned through in-person sales, is that people look for specific things. They want to make sure that their gallery has a family portrait where everyone's looking. To us, we're like, boring, right? But that's something that they're going to send out to all their family and friends, is that family portrait where everyone is looking at the camera and everyone's smiling. So that is something that I make sure I get with every single newborn session, is I make sure that they are getting a picture where everyone is looking at the camera. And I make sure that it is beautiful. It's posed where everyone's heads are close together. And then I do what I like to do. Then I do the backlight poses and I do the close-ups and I have everybody look at the baby. And then I do like more variations of parent posing. But I know what the parents like. Now, also because of in-person sales, I know that when I'm going through an image reveal and they have a sibling, guess what? They choose, out of all the portraits, they choose mostly sibling, family, parents, and then a few of the baby alone. And guess what? Before, I would heavily focus on the newborn only, and then I would do only a few of, like I would do one pose with a sibling and then one family pose and then one pose with each parent. But now, if I have a family coming in with a newborn and siblings, and obviously the parents, I make sure that half of the session is spent on them. And guess what? They buy more because they cannot let go of those sibling pictures. And I make sure that I do backlight posing, and I make sure that I do a buttload of variations of each sibling. Well, I do the siblings with the newborn. I do them in 3 different ways and different lighting. And I, again, do that with the parents. And guess what? Every single one of them is buying my top digital collection or my top album, and then adding additional spreads so that they can get additional pictures. So it is very important to understand your clientele, and you can't understand what they love until you start doing in-person sales. So that is another reason to really make sure that you understand who you are serving and how you can serve them best. Marissa says, on the struggle bus, no leads coming in, 1 newborn session in the last 4 months. Oh my God, Marissa. Oh my gosh. That sucks. And Marissa does IPS. We're definitely going to have to talk about this. Marissa, you need to join next week's group mentoring call, okay? Debbie, I have been struggling. I took a course with Sarah Petty. I believe in the process, but it's hard to find those clients. So I don't know what Sarah Petty teaches. Does she teach marketing or does she teach in-person sales? And it's definitely, when it comes to finding your ideal clients, if you don't have a market yet, you need to put yourself in every possible circle that you can. So what does that mean? Obviously, you have to start somewhere, right? And everyone knows in order to show work, you have to have pictures to show. And in order to have pictures to show without booked clients, you have to do model calls, right? I would really focus on building and perfecting your brand and doing that with model calls. Now, with model calls, if you do the in-person sales strategy, by giving them a free session fee and maybe 2 to 3 free portraits included for their being a model, you can upsell to those model calls and you could be making $1,000 per model call. Okay, so if you don't have work, create it. Make sure that you have a signed contract with model calls and with all clients to post those, and make sure that you're consistently posting to your website, consistently posting to social media, and consistently building your email list and making sure that you're getting referrals. Now, it's also important to grow on Google Maps because people will search in Google nearest photographer or closest newborn photographer to me. If you are in an area, people will find you on Google Maps. So if you're not on Google Maps, how are they going to find you? So even if you don't have a website, you can still have Google Maps, and you can link it to a Square landing page or a Instagram booking page or a Facebook booking page. Okay. So if you are consistently posting and making sure that you are available on all those different platforms, then it's time to start joining networking. Networking doesn't have to be paid. You can go to free networking events. The ATB Bank, it's very heavily focused on businesses and supporting businesses. And so they actually have free networking events once a month. So I started joining those networking events, and then me and another photographer, we teamed up to do branding photography, and we opened up a branding and headshot business. And we joined a design, like an interior design networking group. And it was only $120 for the year. And they have loads of events. So it doesn't have to be a huge upfront cost to network. But the reason why networking groups are great is because people are there to learn about you, what you offer, and why you're a good choice for them. Maybe he, owns a business with multiple employees, but guess what? Maybe his daughter just had a baby and he wants to gift her a session. So you don't know where you're going to find your ideal clients. In fact, I have a client who is a grandma, and she bought her kids a full newborn session. Okay, she paid for the session fee, and then she paid for $1,500 worth of digitals. And guess what? She just booked her 2nd grandbaby in, and they're due any day. So clients will return even if they're buying it for somebody else. So you don't know where you're going to meet people and what type of people in the networking groups are going to connect with you. And that's going to work. But you also need to go in with that perspective of, I am going to build relationships. I'm going to grow my circle and my network of community. And also look at different networking in your area that you can join, like the Chamber of Commerce. It might be good, it might not be good, but you don't have to spend thousands of dollars on a networking group. Ashley, my SEO is good too, but same inquiries are low though through my website. Yeah, that is true. Everyone is being affected. It's just, I don't know, it's just bizarre. Oh, and also don't take for granted Facebook pages, because I think to myself, who even goes on Facebook to find businesses? Because I go to Instagram to find businesses. But I'm a Facebook girl. And all of you guys are Facebook girls and Facebook people because you're photographers, and we rely on the group communities and the education aspect of Facebook. But my generation we started on Facebook for social media. So I get quite a few inquiries on Facebook still. So make sure that when you're posting to Instagram, it is duplicating onto a Facebook page. And make sure that your Facebook page has your keywords in your Facebook page title for your business. So instead of my business page saying Raindrop Photography, that's my photography company, instead of it saying Raindrop Photography, I actually say Raindrop Photography Edmonton Newborn Photographer, so that it's in my keyword of my business page. When somebody is looking up on Facebook, they want to make sure that they're actually finding somebody in their area. And unless you have your whole bio on your Facebook page all about your location, how do they know where you live? How do they know where you're working? So make sure that you guys are not forgetting that aspect of things. You have to make sure that you have your location on your website, on your social media. Like, you have to plaster it everywhere. Tiffany says, hi everyone, I moved to something PA and one day decided to do newborn posing without researching anything. I went bananas and spent an insane amount of money on props, but because, let's face it, it's fun, but such a stupid thing to do. Invested in education and had an in-home studio. The socioeconomic area without today's economy issues is a difficult sell. After 18 months, I quit cold. Sold 70% of my stuff in spring of 2024 and figured I'll be nursing forever. However, this spring I realized how much I missed newborn photography and often found myself looking at my final pictures of my previous sessions and going through the remaining stuff I still had, reminiscing the passion and excitement I had. So I decided I am going to jump back in, but only do it as a hobby for friends, extended family, and nursing associates. That's a really great idea, Tiffany, because you are so crazy talented at it. And I just felt so bad for you when you decided to quit, because I know that you got excited with the idea of purchasing props and going buck wild with ordering everything. Let Tiffany be a lesson learned that you don't need to buy everything, because if you are not making money to pay for those things, it is not going to benefit you. And so many photographers quit because they focus more on purchasing props than they do on the foundations of their business. But I say that with all the love, Tiffany, because I know your passion is newborn photography, and it breaks my heart that you quit, decided to go back to nursing. But I'm glad that you shared this, because it's not a good business strategy to focus on purchasing items without being able to sell your services and without being able to pay for those items. Like, it's just the worst. It just makes you feel really bad. So, Marissa, the recent newborn session that I did, mom didn't want to get in the photos, but I encouraged her and let her know I could add makeup, Evoto for the win. See, that is excellent. When you tell clients right there and then that you can fix a situation, I've even done that. I've also convinced parents to hop into the pictures, and they thanked me a million times over for getting them to do it, because those are some of their most cherished pictures. I purchased a 30 by 40 unwrapped canvas print to take to their homes to show how the size looks. That's a brilliant idea, because the thing is, people don't really understand how small a picture is until it's on their wall. They really don't. If they can't visually understand the difference, then it doesn't touch home to them. What is boho? Boho is that style of like feathers and papas and chairs and what's that type of like feathery, let me just find an example to show you, because I can't even find the words to explain it right now. Boho I do love it, don't get me wrong, But the problem is that it is very trendy. And so sometimes people just get sick of it, especially with those, like, what are those type of grass? That's boho. Anyways, don't get me wrong. I went through a phase of doing it and I loved it, but I also got sick of it really quickly. So I was like, I don't want to focus on boho because I think it's not something that's going to last, even though it's really pretty. And look at, see, you can tell I went through a boho stage because I have a peacock chair, but I still like to use it sometimes with maternity sessions. Debbie, yes, you have access to my pricing list inside the mentoring group. I will post inside the mentoring group where to find it. Yeah, marketing and IPS. Okay. Tracy, I haven't had any success getting responses to model calls. I need the practice, but just can't get it. Okay, so I think that's when you really need to take a step back and instead of approaching everything through your business, approach it through your personal social media. So if you need to get your hands on some babies, then you need to go on your personal social media and say, hey, friends, I'm trying to start a business photographing newborns, and I am having a real hard time getting models. Do you guys know anybody that's pregnant? Do you have anybody in your family that just had a baby? Please tell them that I have been training in newborn photography, and I would really love to offer them some complimentary newborn session pictures in exchange for their time. And just approach it that way. Yeah, that's a good idea. Ashley, yes, networking events are really beneficial. And the cool thing about networking events is that you don't have to worry about just going into a crowd and disappearing, because every networking event actually has a dedicated time that every person stands up and talks for 20 seconds about who, or 30 seconds, says who they are, what they do, and why they're different than everybody else in that industry. And it's really, yes, Papa's grass. What the heck is it called? Yeah, I can't even say it. But yeah, that's the type of grass for the boho. Anyways, the networking is great because, yeah, you can definitely make sure that you are standing out and telling people about you and why you're different. Okay. Y'all, yes, y'all, I had to take retirement out to pay my credit cards off. Oh gosh. Yeah, Tiffany. Yeah. You were like the number one buyer on every vendor for every vendor. Everyone was like, "Oh, it's Tiffany buying out my sale again." Yeah. But I'm glad that you were able to still lean on nursing because that would have been definitely stressful. Temi, any suggestions for reasonable management app? I'm looking at Honeybook and Iris, but their prices is not in my budget. Try Sprout Studio. And if you want something that does everything, so there's so many different ones. So you could try Studio Ninja, you could try Sprout Studio. Pixieset has a CRM. It is expensive. If you don't necessarily need the CRM, there are ways to do it for free. So if you want to do like a free booking calendar for newborn sessions, then there's a few different ones. Use Calendly. So you can use Calendly. Pixieset also has a free booking that you can use, but you can only have one type of session that people can book. So that's the only thing that I would need somebody to be able to book in themselves for. And the reason why I don't use a CRM booking system is because I want to have a personal interaction with each client. I don't want them to book in a random session. I want to have a consultation with them first. And I know that you can do all of that through a CRM platform, but I just like to do it with them personally because I am more of a hands-on luxury photographer. And so I like to handle them personally through everything. And I book them into my calendar right in front of them at their consultation. So that's the reason why I do it that way. But you can run your business strategically through a CRM platform. It's absolutely worth it to do that. But if you don't have the budget at the moment, there are free options. So for invoicing, you can use Wave Apps. The only thing that costs money to use Wave Apps is if you have clients pay credit cards, they will take a percentage, like a 5% fee out of your sale, and that's how they get paid, through Wave Apps. So you don't have to pay a monthly thing. And if you have people pay you with email money transfer, then you never have to worry about any type of fees, okay? Or they can pay you cash at your session. So Calendly for booking mini sessions. You can do Jotform for your contracts. Jotform is free up to 5 contracts, 5 different types of contracts. So I send my prep guides and I send my contracts all through Jotform. I used to run the free version for 6 years. I never paid for the full version until I started coaching. So definitely, I'm just going to type that in, Jotform for contracts. I share my personal prep guide for my photography sessions, but I actually have a prep guide for maternity, family, and newborns. So let me know if you guys are interested in all of them or just newborn. We have 15 more minutes, but I just wanted to come on here and let you know that this economy sucks. I agree. But if you start up your business now, then start properly. Start with the correct foundation, start with the correct pricing, and start with the correct method and strategy. Build your network, grow your community. You have to be consistent, okay? So that's something that I wanted to talk about, is consistency. And I'm going to be heavily focusing on this going forward every week now that we're back into September, is we're going to be doing consistent posting strategies. So it's important to make sure that you understand, if you are showing up only on social media, if you're putting all your eggs in one basket, if you got hacked, you would lose everything. And guess what? I've been hacked before. And I did lose a huge amount of my following. And it took me like a week and a half to get my account back. And I was one of the lucky ones. Most people don't get their accounts back. And I have seen so many photographers with 20, 30,000 followers, and they get hacked and they lose it all. They didn't have their SEO worked on properly. They didn't have an email list built up. They didn't have a networking group set up. They didn't have a plan for if everything went south. So it's really important to make sure that you are putting your eggs in different baskets and making it all consistent, okay? So what I mean by consistency is, okay, let's just say that your website is great, it's beautiful, but you're not showing up with SEO, okay? What is a strategy to fix that? It's blogging. You have the ability to use ChatGPT, and ChatGPT can take your words and increase them to a large enough blog post with your keywords, and then you can use that to create consistent blogging, and you want to do that once a week. Okay, if you are not big on blogging and you don't want to do it, then hire it out. Okay, so instead of thinking, okay, I can run ads on Facebook for $300 a month or $500 a month, or I have a $300 a month budget for Google Ads. Why don't you invest that into building your foundations of your business? Okay, so instead of basing everything on something that can be taken away as soon as you stop paying for it, why don't you build those foundations into your website? So I'll give you an example. When I first started, I did not understand why my website was not showing up on Google. Like I wouldn't even show up on the 10th page. And I was like, what do I do? Do I start paying for ads? I tried to do that a little bit, but ads on Google are one monster that I don't understand how to tackle, and I have never learned how to tackle. So I have never run Google ads more than once. And it was a waste of money, and it never did anything for me. The problem is that Google ads are like it's a bidding system. So if there's a lot of competition for those keywords, your Google ads are going to cost a lot. They could cost $15 a click. They could cost $25 a click. They could cost $5 a click. I don't know what they are. But in order to compete with your competition, your Google ads could be extremely expensive. But if you took that money and learned how to do SEO, or if you're in my mentoring program, I explain how to do it and how I've done it. I took a bunch of workshops. I learned how to do SEO myself, and I literally appeared out of nowhere on page 1, and I was at the bottom of page 1 for a long time. Then I hired an SEO expert, which is Dave Rosen, and he is in this group as a courtesy. And Dave Rosen taught me how to get up to like number 1 on page 1. Now, of course, I've been super, super lazy since he taught me how to do it. And every now and again, I put some work into it, and then I'll go up to like number 2 or number 1. But lately I've been hovering around number 4 on Google. And that's fine. I'm still on page 1. I'm still at the top of page 1 and I'm fine. I don't care. As long as I'm on page 1 near the top. But you want to be on the top 4. Like, you don't want to be number 7. You don't want to be number 8. And you don't want to be page number 2, because if you're on page number 2, nobody's going to see you. Ever. I hate to tell you this. But eventually the economy is going to recover. So you're going to want to make sure that you're spending every opportunity that you have. If you're slow with your bookings, you should be spending time on your business. So right now is the time to binge learn how to do SEO. Learn how to make sure your website is showing up at the top of page 1 for your keywords. If you don't know what keywords to use, then the number 1 thing is your area, the biggest city that you are near, not the city you live in. So for example, if I was to do my keywords, my studio is near a town of, it's 5 minutes out of a town of 35,000 people, but I am 10 minutes south of a city of 1 million. So what am I going to use my keywords for? 30,000, city of 30,000, or the city of 1 million? I'm going to use the one of 1 million. Yes, there's more competition, but guess what? All the little towns that surround that 1 million population are going to be using those keywords because they want to know who the most popular one is in that large city. And yes, you are going to get ones that are local to you, that are closer to you from the smaller city, but at the end of the day, you want to focus on the keywords of the largest population because you have the higher percentage of people looking at those keywords. For example, my keywords are Edmonton newborn photographers or newborn photography Edmonton. You have to take those keywords and you have to jumble them up and you have to use them over and over. Okay? And that is the keywords that I focus on. I don't focus on Leduc. Leduc is the place I'm closest to because that ratio is so much smaller. So I not only have built up my website SEO to survive going up and down on page 1, I've built it so that it has authority, and I've spent years doing it by blogging. So I used to blog, and I actually didn't focus on wording. I focused on images, and I would post galleries of clients repeatedly. But now I have an assistant that posts a blog for me once a week, and she has been doing it. She was doing it before, and then I got her to stop doing it for a while because I was like, I'm going to do it myself. But guess what? I did 2 blogs in 3 months, and I was like, no, I just need her to do it because I clearly am not consistent. So I have her blogging for me on my website once a week. And if you want her to do it for you, let me know and I can give you her information. But she blogs for me once a week. And she just makes blog posts about all different sorts of things. So now I'm getting 4 blogs a month onto my website. And I'm showing up in Google. I am being consistent. I am relevant. I have authority. And the more blog posts and the more keywords and the more data that Google can pull from your website, the more and higher you will rank. So you have to remember that. If you quit posting on your website for 3-4 months, Google is going to think it's inactive. So you need to remember that your website is an important role and an important part of your business. Now, the same thing with social media. I was listening to a podcast the other day, and the photographer coach said on this podcast, she goes, maybe somebody gets a referral for your business. Maybe they're a younger person, so they check on social media to see what your work looks like. If your Instagram or Facebook is not consistently being posted on and is not showing your very best work, what is that potential client going to think? Like, they want to know and see what type of photographer you are. So you have to make sure that you are consistently posting on social media. And I am guilty of this. Oh my gosh, this summer was a nightmare. But now I am going to make sure that I am consistently posting once a day. And if it is not a post or a reel, it is going to be a story. I don't even have to brush my hair. I don't care what I'm wearing. It's not about that. It's about people getting to know who I am, what type of personality I have, tips and things that I can share with my clients, maybe a personal story about myself, maybe a quirky fact about my dog. It doesn't matter. As long as I am showing up on social media and they can see that I am active, that's what they want to know. They want to be able to make sure that I am active as a business. Marissa said, my prices are set higher for IPS, and so I am definitely out of the budget people and middle zone area. So that's good. I'd say I'm priced to be about $2,000 to $3,000 for a session that includes 15 to 20 images in products like albums and print boxes and the matching digitals. That's good, Marissa, because once you do find your ideal clients, it's going to be just fine. And I don't know if I saw your comment above. Okay, she lived with us, and so a lot of my focus went there over the last several months instead of working on my marketing. I've been working on getting back on the horse over the last week. I've been considering doing some paid Google ads to try to boost things quicker while still ramping up my SEO. I live in a big city, and so it is really hard to get on the first page. I did get a client from Googling my by location. So rather than spending money on Google ads, because that's just a Band-Aid fix, Marissa, and I just want to say my condolences. I'm so sorry for your loss, because I can't even imagine, especially you having to look after her and having her right there. So I'm so sorry for what you've gone through. But in regards to Google ads, I would put your money into learning how to do SEO or having somebody just do your SEO for you. I have some connections I can hook you up with. Just let's talk after. Okay, Ashley, I would love to talk about networking events. Never been, but I like the idea. I lack confidence too. I know, Ashley, I know you do, but you are so good at what you do. So you do not need to ever worry about about being confident in your work. It's really good to, what I did for my very first networking event is I wrote down what I wanted to say about myself, and then I ChatGPT'd it, and I asked ChatGPT to make it relevant to the situation. And then I just read it. Okay. And that was the only way I could have got through it, because I don't like public speaking. Standing up in front of a crowd of people that I don't know that are all professionals is terrifying. But it was really awesome because everybody was terrified. Everybody was going through the exact same thing. And a lot of the people that were at that networking group event, it was their first time, just like me. So it was really nice. And you know what? If you have a friend who does a business, they can join the networking event with you. They don't have to be a photographer. And that would be super nice to have a friend to go with. We're just going to finish reading up these comments, and then we are going to end in about 1 minute. So if you have any questions, post them now. I've recently had a big boom in newborn maternity sitter business, but I'm worried that it's going to plummet. How do I keep the momentum going? I've thought about raising prices, but I'm scared it will make me plummet, especially since I'm just now coming back up from the last time I raised them. Okay, congratulations, Nicole, because that's really great that you've been busy. So it just goes to show you that people are hiring photographers, so that's awesome. So Nicole, I don't know what your prices are at. I don't know how expensive they are or how low they are. So give us a number, maybe like what is your average sale? Because I definitely think that it's always good to plan 3 or 4 months in advance. For example, what I mean by that is if I was going to raise my prices, I would make sure that I had 6 months of solid bookings before I raise my prices. Because I hate to tell you, but when you do raise your prices, it does take a buffer of 6 months to recover from it. So as you have raised your prices, another great strategy would be to do it right before Black Friday. Because when you do it right before Black Friday, what happens is you can take advantage of the sale. So you're still making your current pricing after the sale price, or after the sale has been added, or the discount, I should say. And then what happens is they feel like they're getting a really good deal, but you're not losing any money because you're not actually having raised your prices. You have raised your prices, but they think they're getting a massive discount, but you're actually still making a little bit more than what you were before. I love your Jot form guides. They were instrumental for me in creating my own. You literally have shared everything that makes a newborn photographer successful. Thank you. Best education platform I'm a part of. My best investment. Thank you, Tiffany. So thank you, Tiffany, for that. ChatGPT has been awesome for blogging. Yes, Tracy, absolutely. Ads are so hard to set up. Ashley said it isn't easy. It doesn't work even the way you think. It is true. On social media, social media is so hard. Once a day shouldn't be too hard. I think I can do that. Yes, and you don't have to make it perfect. The more perfect it is, the less relatable it is. Okay? And that's something that you have to remember is that if you're focused on making it perfect, the less likely you are to post it or the less likely you are to go live. You have no idea how often I go live and then I sound like a total idiot. But I don't care. You know what? At the end of the day, I just have to laugh it off because that's who I am and I'm not this ball of perfection. But people appreciate that I'm just real. Nicole said lowest is $2.99, middle is $4.99, and highest is $6.99. I booked the highest package most. Okay, then that's great. So get rid of your lowest package, get rid of your middle package, and add 2 more packages to it. Or get rid of your lowest package, keep your middle and highest, and add 1 more. Okay, so your middle becomes your lowest and your highest becomes your middle. going to transform your work and your business on Transformation Tuesdays. So thank you for joining us live. I appreciate everyone who was able to hop on and comment and watch even for part of it. If you are watching the replay, make sure that you join us every Tuesday at the same time. We are going to be doing this every single week. Another thing I wanted to talk about is we are going to have a live boot camp. The boot camp is going to be for 4 days. And we are going to really focus in on fine-tuning your skills. So I am just going to mention the dates of the boot camp. The boot camp is for everybody. And we are going to be doing the boot camp on the 15th. So next Monday is the first day. We're going to do it the 15th, 16th, 17th, and 18th. And we're going to be doing it in the evening. Okay. So Transformation Tuesday, so next Tuesday, the call is actually only going to be about 20 minutes long. We're not going to do an hour long every week. Okay, so don't worry about that. But please make sure that you are signed up to the events of this group for the boot camp starting Monday. The replays are only going to be available for 24 hours. And everyone always has a blast. They're going to be in the evenings, so you're going to be able to join after work if you work full time. And if you are in a different time zone or on the other side of the world, make sure to watch the replays of the boot camps because every single day will be very special for you guys to sign up for it because the newsletter offers a little tip, special coupons, and it also gives you quirky little facts about me. So I am going to grab my resource PDF and pop the link into the comments for you. If you guys sign up, not only will you get this free 42-page PDF full of secrets and resources for your business, but you will also get my weekly newsletter that is written by me and tells you little tips and tricks that I do for my sessions, as well as sometimes offers coupon codes and upcoming events, as well as little quirky facts about me and my bucket list items. So thank you guys and have a wonderful day. And I will see you on Monday and Tuesday and Wednesday and Thursday next week. Okay, take care.